Hi everyone, my name is Barbara Drazga. You can find me on Facebook, and you can also go to dealdivawholesale.com and sign up for my newsletter. And today I wanted to share with you my strategies for accelerating learning of any learning material, any educational material you get in whatever format. It could be a course, a book. You know how a lot of times we get kind of caught up with registering for new courses and books and learning material, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. We don't do anything with it because we get overwhelmed and we don't have a plan to learn and actually incorporate that information into our business and our lives. So today I'm going to share with you some of my strategies for really learning whatever content that you want to focus on right now, and then incorporating it and make sure it becomes part of your life and your business so you can move on to the next information product. So here we go. I'm just going to dig in. Again, you can find me on Facebook. My name is Barbara Drazga, and go to dealdivawholesale.com, and you can ask any questions on that website as well. So here we go. Okay, so accelerated learning. Of course, I'm not going to read word for word off the slides because you guys can read, but just go ahead and read along as I talk, and I'll fill in around the information you see on the slides. So we want to maximize any course material we have, right? So why should you listen to me? Well, I'm an ex-journalist, and the reason this is important is because a skill set of a good journalist is the ability to learn information quickly from multiple sources and then be able to write an article presenting that information so that people can understand what it is you studied. So I wrote for a business journal for many years, in Denver Business Journal, and they would toss me article ideas like on the business of motorsport racing, which things that I would not have any information about, and science topics. And I would have to go out and interview experts and learn in a very short amount of time in order to write an article so that it's understandable and it flows and the reader can actually really gain information from it. So I picked up the skill set of accelerated learning that allowed me to get up to speed really quick on a subject, enough to know who to speak to quote, and also how to present that information in an understandable manner. So that's why being an ex-journalist is actually relevant to this topic. So I'm also an active e-commerce seller. I am an Amazon FBA seller. I also sell on some of my own websites and a few other platforms, and I'm moving into private label. So I'm in the trenches with online sellers. And then I'm a business and marketing trainer. I present small topics like this that can accelerate different pieces of your business. So, learning. Now, Albert Einstein said, learning is an experience. Everything else, sorry for the typo, everything else is just information. So you can buy a lot of information from a lot of different sources, right? But unless you actually allow yourself to experience that information on multiple levels, you're not actually learning it. It's just information that's sitting there. So we're going to talk about how to create an experience around information products that you have so that you're actually learning the content. So we're going to learn how to maximize your learning retention with 3 simple strategies. Ready? Let's dig in. So in order to learn more faster, it's a combination of 3 different strategies: having the right mindset, having a plan up front, and then getting focused and implementing that plan in a focused manner. So mindset, first of all, I know it sounds redundant, but you have to commit. Okay? Now, I know you've committed because you've bought courses and you have information products at your fingertips right now, but you haven't committed to the outcome, to actually implementing them. So it's a simple step is to just get really straight with yourself and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit about goal setting too, because that's part of committing. So you have to commit to yourself, to your family, to the people around you, to your business partners, that this is what you're going to accomplish. And then you have to look at learning as a game. So I look at collecting information that I can use in my business as a game of how good can I get at this game? You know, how much can I learn and implement and test and improve my business through learning? And if you look at it as a game, it has a different energy around learning than if you came at your educational material from a mindset of stress. Oh, I have to make this work, and oh, I'm not getting this. And just assume that there will be things in any new information that you have that it will be a stumbling block for you. You'll have to learn something new in order to move forward. And that's pretty much the structure of a game, right? So also, I encourage you to celebrate small wins, especially when you have a large course that you're working through. It can seem a little bit daunting when you first get started because there's such a learning curve in the beginning. And in order to keep yourself going so you don't give up, create small wins, right? So a small win could be, okay, I'm going to get through these 3 lessons and then I'm going to go have a walk around the block or make myself a cup of coffee or turn on the radio and sing a song real loud that makes me happy, or go spend a few minutes sitting with my kids and do some coloring books with my child, right? So celebrate small wins so that you feel forward momentum. And it's important to see progress because if you feel like you're stalled all the time, you'll get disheartened pretty quickly and it'll be hard for you to actually get through the entire program, right? So you want to create momentum, and part of that is having a positive energy around whatever it is that you're learning. So what I found is growth happens in spurts. So I'll get into a learning program and I will just start digging in and wow, my mind is blown and it's this whole different level. It's stuff that I didn't even know existed and the growth just happens like crazy. And then suddenly I kind of stall. Maybe I'm overwhelmed because there's too much information and I realize that okay, I've learned a lot and I'm throwing a lot of stuff out there and I'm implementing it, but maybe not as well as it could be implemented. So after the spurts, when I go back and I take a look at, okay, why didn't this work for me? It's because I needed to get better at it. I needed to refine my skills. And that's where excellence starts. So just be aware and accept that your growth is going to come in a spurt. And you'll learn a lot, and it might not all work for you right away because you don't know how to do it really well. And then the next level is to refine those skills that you're learning in order to get to excellence. And then this is important, I think it's important, is to manage your physical state. Now let me give you a couple of examples. First, you see me sitting behind my desk when I do my presentations, but that's simply because it's a little bit more, I have everything set up, I've got the microphone, you know, it's a perfect environment for it, the lighting. But what you don't see is how I work. So my work environment is a completely different area, and it's a standing desk next to a treadmill. So the standing desk, I'm standing all day. I have a cushioned pad, and then I change my weight and I move, and I actually have some little light weights next to the desk so I can keep my blood flowing. So pretty much I stand all the time I'm working, except when I'm doing the trainings like this today for you guys. And then next to the desk, I have a fold-up treadmill. So I can fold it down, fold it up. And I've created a habit for myself. When I start a new program, I have multiple screens. So I'll put on the treadmill, I bought a treadmill with straight arms on them. Okay, so you don't want one with moving arms or no arms. You want 2 straight arms, and the arms can't be sloped down. And the reason for that is I put a board across them, and then I put a laptop on that board. Now I'm not going to be running on my treadmill while I'm learning. I'm actually walking. Even if it's just a slow walk. And then there's a shelf, you know, where you can put your iPod or iPad. I put my iPad on there, and I'll put the training that I'm watching up on the iPad. And then on my computer, when there's something that they're showing me that I can practice in Amazon or in Google, I will actually do it as I'm walking, as I'm learning. I can pause on the iPad and then implement. And we'll talk a little bit about that learn, implement cycle that I use in a future slide. So when you manage your physical state and you get yourself moving, okay, Tony Robbins talks a lot about managing your state and shocking yourself into a new mindset and a physical mindset and a physicality. So putting your shoulders back, taking deep breaths and getting energized as opposed to, oh man, I gotta dig into this course. Do you see the difference in energy, right? So when you manage your physical state and you allow that positive energy just to come in and you get physically active, it makes you more excited about what you're learning and it makes it easier. Another way to manage your physical state, I believe nutrition is really important. Now, I'm not talking about weight loss, or I'm talking about just feeding your body nutrients that will power your brain. So antioxidants, green tea, decaf green tea, blueberries, avocados. You can do your own research on what nutrients are brain power. I have kale in a smoothie in the morning, which for me, it might react differently with other people, but kale for me is like 8 cups of coffee. It just bumps up my energy and my positivity for some reason. And it could be the combination of kale with other things I put in there. But go ahead and do a little bit of research and find out what nutrients would work really well for your brain chemistry and your body chemistry, so that you're putting yourself in a state, a physical and mental state, so that you're ready to learn once you dig in. Okay, so the next step is to plan and organize. Once you've got your physical state and your physicality and your nutrition and everything set up mentally, now you want to plan and organize. So you actually want to create an environment conducive to learning, and that can be any environment that works for you. It could be sitting on your back patio, outside the pool, with a iced tea and your dog on your lap, or it could be sitting in a Starbucks with headphones on, right? Because you can hyper focus and you have energy around you, right? So figure out what physical state is most conducive to your learning style and create that environment for yourself. And then I encourage you to write down 3 mini goals to accomplish in 30 days. And what this does is it leverages that momentum. When we can see that we're reaching these little goals, it'll help propel us forward so we can keep going past that 30 days. And I encourage you, of course, to write them down, because another thing I like to engage is actually crossing those suckers off. So I use flip charts, I've got whiteboards, I have Post-its for reminders, and I like to have a small Post-it because I can only fit a couple of things on a small Post-it as opposed to a big one, right? So, and then I can take a marker, and there's something very satisfying about just knocking that off there, marking it off. And then I have that physical engagement, and it makes me smile to cross it off. So whatever tricks you need to use to keep yourself motivated and focused and planned and organized, that's what you do. So creating blocks in your calendar. Now, we all have very lofty expectations for ourselves, and we're like, yeah, I'm going to learn this, I'm going to dig into it, and just like New Year's Eve's goals, right? We get to January, we do all this goal setting, and you hit May, and you haven't done anything towards your goals, right? So if you block out physically, go get your calendar. I don't know if you're using your phone for your calendar, Google Calendar. If you've got I use actually a hard calendar. I like to write things down. I've got this calendar behind me, right? And physically take some colored pens, crayons, markers, whatever you need to do, and mark out that you're going to have between 3 and 5 p.m. or 9 and 11 p.m. or whatever that time block is, whatever your personal schedule allows. You physically block that out, however many days, whatever days of the week that is, and then you stick with it. You commit. We're back to committing, right? You commit to those time blocks. And the blocks will be for learning and practice. So not just learning, and then you fall asleep at the computer because you watch too many videos. But what keeps you going forward is to learn something and then practice it. So make sure that you're blocking out time for both of those skills. And then batching related tasks, I find, helps. Now that's sort of related to this. So I'll batch looking at all my email, answering my email twice a day, 3 times a day, or answering Facebook messages or opening my mail. I do it once a week. When my mail comes in, I don't open it up and then go through it every single day. It goes into its little compartment, and then once a week, that's my time to do that, or a batch time to do my bookkeeping or finances, or batch time to do whatever. So when you batch related tasks together, and then you hyper focus on those tasks, you get a lot more done and you're not as scattered. So set boundaries. This is important. When you have family members, maybe friends, neighbors, they don't understand what you do for a living. If you are working at home, they think you're home all the time. They can just come over, ring the doorbell, and that's great, to have neighbors like that. Or your kids know that, hey, mom works in the home office, dad's always there. I can just go and barge into his office anytime I want. You have to lovingly set boundaries. And in informing your family and friends, look, for the next 30 days, this is what I'm learning, and this is why I'm learning it. This is how it affects our family or our business. This is my schedule. This is my learning schedule that you just put together. Show it to them. Give them a copy of it. You say, during these times that I've blocked out, I'm not available to you. And that allows me to help them grow our family and business. It's win-win. And that'll teach them to start respecting your time. But it's your responsibility to set those boundaries and then enforce them. Okay, so the third strategy is focus. So after you've created your environment, you got your mindset straight, you're physically ready, you've put together your plan, you've organized your space, and you're ready. Now we want to talk about focus. And first it starts with eliminating all distractions. And you know what I'm going to say? Turn off Facebook, Twitter, all of it. Turn it all off. Shut it down. There's nothing that's going to happen in social media in the next 25 minutes that you can't miss for 25 minutes. And I have to actually sometimes physically, you heard my phone ding a little bit earlier, right? So I had to turn off my phone, physically turn off the phone, so I'm not distracted by that ding to go to it. So I exit out of all those apps on my computer, on my phone, on my iPad. I just make them go away. And I think there's actually, I've heard there's tools you can use that'll block you from entering into your social media account for a certain amount of time. I don't feel I need those, but if you find yourself unable to keep yourself off of Facebook when you're supposed to be learning, then download one of those apps and do it, right? Whatever it takes. So, and offline too, put a sign on your front door saying, "Don't ring doorbell. Please, call me for appointment," whatever. Offline, shut your office door. That could be an indication to your family, when my office door is shut, I'm not available to you, right? So do online and offline blocking and eliminating all distractions. And then get into what I call hyper-focus mode. Now, I'm fairly high energy to begin with. So for me, hyper-focus is, I have to tell people, I'm in hyper-focus mode. I can't answer you right now. I'll get back to you in an hour or so. So hyper-focus to me is, I close all web browsers, anything non-related to what I am focusing on, and I go into this zone. If any of you are runners out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. You get into this, at some point while you're running, you get into this zone where it's just rote. You just keep going and it feels amazing. It's almost like you're on a cloud and you're hyper efficient, right? So hyper-focus mode for me in learning is where I'm so focused on what's in front of me that nothing else comes into my realm. I notice nothing else. So learn how to get into a hyper-focus mode. Now, you can't do that forever because you'll burn out. So you can also try, now I've done this a little bit, and I'm actually going to try, I have to whisper, "My Alexa," so she doesn't wake up. I understand I can tell my Alexa to set a timer for 25 minutes. So that from what I understand, this Tabata method is you work on a project for a set amount of time. They recommend, I think, 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break. And you go get tea, you walk around the block, but you work in this 25/5-minute cycle. And then I think after 3 of those cycles, you take a 20-minute break. And you can look it up on Google. There are a lot of different apps out there for Tabata timers. You can use your phone, I think you can download on your phone. You can use Google, Alexa, right? So look into the Tabata method and see if that works for you. And then also the learn, implement cycle. So when I learn something, now I can go through a course from beginning to end and get all the way to the end of the course and realize I don't really remember most of the course. I'm sure that you've had that same experience. We all have, right? So what I found helps me is when I learn one piece of information and then I practice it. And then I go on to the next piece of information and I practice it. And then as I'm practicing it, it will reveal whether or not I've understood that piece of information. And if I'm having trouble implementing it, then I go back and I rewatch that lesson and then practice again before I move on to the next topic, before I move on to the next lesson. So give that a try. And that way it'll keep you from getting overwhelmed and you'll be able to really coalesce that information and build on the future lessons, will build on the understanding of the first lessons. Okay, so this is pretty important. Everybody's got different learning style or preferences for how we learn best. So some people like to learn by watching videos. Some people are more effective learning by reading a book or just by listening to podcasts. I'm a little bit more of a visual learner. So if you gave me a choice between a video, a podcast, and a book, I would prefer in that order. I would prefer to watch the video. And if I can't watch the video, then I'll be listening to something as I'm doing other things, if there's no video or it's just a podcast. And then third would be reading. The reading piece for me comes into play when it supports the video material or the audio material that I've heard. So I can refer to maybe a checklist that I can follow that supports the information in the video I just watched. Now, everybody has a different learning style. So what you want to do is quickly identify what you feel most comfortable with, and I'll show you the different learning styles here. And then work on incorporating those learning styles together, because the more learning styles you can engage while you're learning information, the better off that information will be incorporated into your habits, your mind, your psyche. You will learn it a lot faster when you use multiple learning styles to intake that information. So you want to watch and listen. Okay, so you've got visual and audible, and then you want to read, even if it's just a supporting material or maybe the transcripts of what you just watched. Okay, and then rewrite it. One thing I didn't tell you is next to my my treadmill, I have a flip chart and some colored markers. So while I'm watching the videos, practicing on my computer, when there are key points that come up in a PowerPoint slide, for example, I will reach over, I'll stop walking so I don't fall off my treadmill, but I'll reach over and I'll mark those down. Now, even though they're on the PowerPoint slide, and I could probably download the PDF that shows me those points, right? By physically writing those down, it engages my tactile learning style as well. And then I've got visual, looking at what I wrote down, and because I wrote it in my own handwriting, now I'm engaging my self-training learning style. Do you see what I mean? So I'm forcing myself to learn by engaging all these different learning styles. And then, of course, you want to, sorry, I gotta get my glasses on for this. So practice. So the practice is after you've written your notes, and now you want to implement. If you're learning something that requires you to get into a browser and Google something, get on Amazon, learn something, physically get online and do it, or even if you're learning a skill like how to plant an herb garden, okay? So you learn, okay, this is how you till the soil. Go till the soil. And then go back to, this is how you plant the seeds. And then go plant the seeds. I know that's a simplistic approach, but if you're learning something especially more higher end, like a concept that is going to take some practice, even if your first practice or implementation of it is sketchy and you're really not sure what you're doing, you can flop back and forth between the learning material and then the practice. And you're going to increase your skill level the more you implement that or try to implement it. Imperfect action is better than zero action. And then finally, when you start teaching that information, and it could be that, you know, you just bring your child in, or your husband, your business partner, say, hey, check out what I learned today. Hey, here's what I learned. Check out what I can do. And you show them what you just practiced on the computer. And be okay with yourself that you're not going to do it perfectly. And they're going to be okay with you not doing it perfectly, right? You've just learned it. And remember, excellence comes through refined practice. But when you engage teaching other people how to do the information you just learned, now you're programming that information with your own voice into your brain on top of all the other learning skills. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, go ahead, or you can, hopefully you're taking my advice and you're actually writing this down to engage another learning skill, right? And I'll give you a chance to do that. All right. So anyway, that was short and sweet. If you just follow those 3 steps, I didn't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to have action steps that you can do right away. With the next course that you enter, I want you to be able to just implement those 3 steps. My name is Barbara Drazga. You can find me on Facebook. I have a group, facebook.com/groups/DealDiva, where I talk about sourcing wholesale and private label for Amazon sellers. And then you can go to dealdivawholesale.com, and I have a newsletter that I send out. You can sign up for that, and I have a bunch of free videos and articles on, you know, kind of like this, a business, small business, being an entrepreneur, some of my ideas on how I source, and marketing ideas on how to sell things off of Amazon. So go ahead over to dealdivawholesale.com. You can hit me up on Facebook and say hello and ask me anything, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope this was useful. Bye.